only on CT.
President John Dramani Mahama would soon address the nation on his 120 days contract with Ghanaians to spell out his performance against the backdrop of his earlier promise to Ghanaians. Tonight, we picked the live feed of the president delivery. I am Kweku Annan, and of course, this is the front line. We're live tonight from the very HQ here in the studios of CTV, and of course, live across dozens of stations, picking the feed plus the one in Sunyane on the dial 88.1 FM. We're live in Western Region on Tadi 99.1 FM, live in London on GOB Broadcasting on modernghana.com, and tune in still on GOB, they're piping it on www.gobtv.tv plus Apple Music. And of course, the information superhighway is on the beats on my CTVGH and the Frontline Ghana. My CTVGH and the Frontline Ghana. Folks, tonight, President John Dramani Mahama, it's become apparent that the president would have to face the people of this country, 32, 33, 35, how many millions of Ghanaians. The president, anytime from now, would face Ghanaians and give his stewardship, all right? And if you recall, the president John Dramani Mahama earlier promised Ghanaians that 120 days, of course, he's going to do quite extraordinary, unprecedented development Ghanaians should expect in his administration. Well, tonight, whether you like it or not, the 120 days of the president's stewardship, okay, the contract with Ghanaians today mark the turning point. And so the president, anytime from now, 8:30, I'm quite sure the president would speak to Ghanaians, and of course your reliable news source will join the feed and listen to the president delivery and all of that. But until that, folks, we have we have some short stuff to do with you, and then let's gauge how the mood, the president delivery is going to be before we join the feed. Folks, let's get started with himself here and Adri ho crack. Impending John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, Eba Bedi, and Ghana for Bedin Komo, Enche. And common on ye bedi no ye na ye nim kire se ebra Impending etra konwa so ape e no ma Ghana fo ina te se wo de nieme bi begugu akwam na niomo odi begugu akwam no ebi ni se o de niomo we nya begugu akwam a enna ma 120 days kra be kan se wo twi mu ye rade kwakwan no me saw kohwehwe obehu 120 days no President John Mahama, say yes, and no here na ordinary may be a gugu aquamama Ghana, ma or may it me akoye, and they are menemoka saying 120 days near Munatrase. Your online editor, me patrol sending your man name rantem, and no delay when you may be. You're fast. Into President John Dramani Mahama, a brenna to say on a Ghana for. Eba bedi enkomobi anadwe na saa nkomo no ne kwasem ni emu ebe hwam papa enti President John Dramani Mahama enche yebekọ ne akopeke the live feed na yahwe se edien na president ode beto ho ama oman Ghana ziwa no na bibia no etimi adeda na kwemu pepe enti I'm ready to make a choice and say, "Yeden, brace yourself for the president." Na president said, "Yeah, and you may sit here no." And minim said, "I'll be ready." And you president Mahama so far or they either at 100 days. Well, of course, now tonight we have a whole saying we have a build up. It will name be Brimoa Yedebama Ghana for, but of course we have to make way for the president's state. Of course, I can say that's a State of the Nation's address on the president's 100 days delivery. And folks, yendele crack. But before we join the president, as you know, of course, every week, Ghana Speaks Proudly, brought to you by biogas expert engineers. Biogas expert engineers, SMN Control, Sabri, one more ebeyo mwa. Mwaben and a biogas expert for deba. Biogas expert for ebe shese. Say your kitchen, say your boholu, say your dancing, say your asasito, say what I am cruisal, say deo. Ni nano akwenya ewa biogas expert for beshema bibiano ayeden ako ye ede amount inti isrubia enim crack. Now yehwe bibi was screening, so as far as biogas for no air concern and nyoma biogas for no betimi ahwe amount currently we screening so a yewo ensase ene eda ho na asase yantam we bibi a wo hwe ne sabri we airport hill, I say Legon Hills. Yes, Legon Hills. Make us say one more about 2.5 plots. Egua one more ton. Biogas expert for ensas ni aha Legon Hills. Legon Hills no also ye kama ye papa sa ensas we akabe ye start to see ye bohu diro no eni yukra na ni na no aiden asa intiaka just about 2.5 per ewo honoma ubetimi aiden akwakotobie na watrema na kama afin so we ya asase o still e wa asase so no edan esisisi so a ni na no kojo awonomo ayeden esisi a sa dan no upebi ato a wo metimi aton bi su de ama some of the building wo construct here kra na enche so no into ahai kwan ye da na lead you to various places within the very way to me lead you called eastern region ama here enemne ade places be brave we na ekojo awonono ensase a omedwetwa omotom wo buildings kra wo ensase so a eno so omesi a yensi wie a opese yeden ye ton edan ne ma wa eno so akonya ewo ho a ometon ede ama bo modia sabri we a wo hwemi se ayewa konne se asase ubenye bi ewo East Legon Hills a kojo awono ne dom no aye ready kra sabri ena wo hwa fa pen ne paper natural wo number na se bia utie me ewo radio so ana say bia wonye you are not close bia won hwe me wo television so ana ampo YouTube so a ubetimi a contact kojo awo no ewo 0555 893001 0555 893001 very simple number and also 054 6205 377 054 6205 377 na woni kojo awonomo edinkomo so what I say inti that's about land afis we person constructed a state of the art kitchen oh me kitchen papa kitchen Donald Trump kitchen yeyemu eduane de ma no ebi na me be ya chiri afin so Prince Charles bibia na ne kitchen na say ne kitchen ewo Edinburgh honoma ne palace we kitchen papa heavy pa ebi nie Come. Afi su Pope Francis when you baby kono. The kitchen a hona ni ye aduane mani die. Ebi ni na kama we ye Donald Trump die no. Yeah, Donald Trump kitchen ye. And a house here Pope Francis the kitchen no. Next one beba no. Yes, Prince Charles kitchen ye, beautiful one. Into why you can imagine renowned John Mahama kitchen, beautiful. Ode ko John na hwade. Beautiful kitchen na a state of the art kitchen me paucho state of the art kitchen papa na say wo mo de eyeden ma ono kojo awono mo ebe construct kitchen de ama problem bi ani ho now you know what before me construct kitchen wo mo no bedi nkomo aba behwe wo building no say kitchen no edan no wesie wie dida anampo say a old building and opese wo yi new kitchen ewo mu a state of the art womba bebe measure IBBA kama na afi no watch from the style of kitchen a wo pe ti asem ni you womba bisa what kind of kitchen ben and a wo pe na afi wo design obetimi dia mom or otherwise say ombetimi ama design select the obe select no na afi measurements ni na no start na e course kama problem bi ani o nti mi bisa wanadwi including real estate for amusisi dan be a bed 3-bedroom here portable kitchen anyway very beautiful state of the art and BBC no na utimi say ye edi amawa kitchen pa ye aduane wo homa wedie na wo na say bia weni kura koma ubetimi ada kitchen ho na wo hwe say kitchen wo masi ade bi e friend island ewom ti say we say Prince Charles dey very beautiful na mo amuhia kitchen enem ne ade Donald Trump dey ne island wom so on Pope John Paul dey John Mahama dey nso ewom ho ena maame Lodina Mahama oye aduane mani die ye president oye aduane mani die kama enu ne very beautiful na chese wokọ na ye president ne ho kafo gira ho no mo a enkomodi se nam so ho ena president Mahama kura na anu mehu se ogina na oyiyi list no enem ne appointment ne ade ho because who asomdwe wo kitchen ho a problem be no kitchen we see designing a such that heat intimi nyeden and stay wo ho latent heat intimi stay wo ho kra ba ku bi ba ya cardinal bi kitchen no o hwe won say you design to say cardinal for on entire ni cardinal bi dem say cardinal Peter appear Texan ne de no kama enti mu bia mo pe kitchen state of the art no kojo awono biogas expert engineers I ready so mbehwe de amamo Midimu wie kura no afi bia me kan Ghana water for nsuo you want to do away ana bebre so am pese mutu nsuo na moton enu ni o bohole kese pa bohole kese pa wo mutu manako asase na kumem me kade en sere kodo kanu no ye tu asase na manako asa bohole ye tu manako asase na kumem kama na kodo mu ehwe na wo mo aye ede ama entini na no kire se ubetimi a contact kojo awo nonom a ntempa mesra contact o mo boholi ye no fefe na ye de amount problem bia so emma na bohol ye tuma wa hye no so se answer na bohol ni munsuo ebesa no guarantee e da ho no kire se until say Christ aba asemo e da ho no na sa guarantee we die ye tu bohol na ma wa guarantee da ho no kire se Jesus agenkwa na ba ena na kire se nye nnani o kina wo ensuo wu no manoma na wehu wo munsuo no nso mu tu amawa eni jesem ne se ebia na ensuo no pa contaminated se ebia iron ewom ana enchini wom any form of substance bia nye good for the human consumption ni na no wo mo ebesiesi etriti e de amamo emane o ma eden aye kama enti se ye kitchen no se ye boho no se ye ensasesem no mame emfa kojo awono no mu en number emma o se ni na no obe contact wonom ewo 055589 3001 and that's 0546205 so no but mean CCBM 0546205 377 and that's 055589 3001 na me ka say me quick and say kojo awo nonom bibi number so amede amamu ni na WhatsApp ewo so enti wo de ni tell ma obetimi ayeden aye WhatsApp e de ama wo nom make sure say bibia won be ya ama no wo obi wo ho a obe monitor ahwe ana say uni Ghana ha obetimi a monitor ahwe ma bibia no aye kama folks so ena me de kojo awo no mo adverts ni we ni ebesi na enioma adeda na kwemu kama now we read the politics of today, but of course, like I said, we are changing our broadcast tonight, making way for President John Dramani Mahama to deliver the state of the 120 days contract with the Ghanaians. Of course, it's so apparent. Now it has become apparent that the president would have to speak. But before we join the feed, folks, President John Dramani Mahama has launched what he call a strict code of conduct for the ministers, high-ranking government officials, municipal chief executives, all over, plus their deputies. And the ministers in Nara, friend is saying, high-ranking government officials, municipal chief executive, women deputies in the strict code of conduct. na code of conduct na odema wonom no edien ena ewom de ewom ni se omanpania ma omate ase se mo obia anye den enje gifts sika up to the tune of saying 20,000 Ghana cedis nimne eho enkeka ho na mebo omanpani no na basopa ente me de mu bewura president no so ne 120 days no enioma President John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, with me are our completion no mebubo bi so achiro but mamene munya de we. The next thing I would have wished, say President, assign so on code of conduct in Toswa. President John Dramani Mahama should collapse it. On collapses are, and he's saying the president should do away or collapse the IPPs. I do more aba or maimuha. IPPs near Winem, independent power producers in this country, and let's find out how Ghana would generate electricity. Yes. Seminya. Oman penino eseti code of conduct. Aman impending no. Oman penisun country Ghana force or a new president waba. Let's do away with independent power producers. And I'm going to state my reasons. So, what I do know, and I'm going to tell Ghanaians, and they're saying, all the IPPs in Ghana, Omaba, have some form of political influence in both NPP and NDC behind them, who take their share of profit at the expense of Ghanaians in darkness, at the expense of Ghanaians paying unrealistic tariffs in this country. The Mepacho is saying independent power producers na wonum wahano. Eye power producers no. So wo hwe na wahwe ne a ubebisa say how? Enti Ghana ye benya enyinam kanea ne de aye adwuma ana ne de aboye ho bra ne ya soma oman kanea agina so a. Nature say independent power producers and ye do omo ba be say adwuma we. No. Na no na make a chew and adwini se miminya enter president the code of conduct bi be or the be hye na membo managina ye no independent power producers no, let's collapse them ni enhwa de say kwan ben so and on my Ghana no betimi nya power supply e wo memu a reason is saying because power producers no a wono aba o memu na bisa wo say die enti and NDC NPP munyara as far as yebenya electricity e wo memu ha no Nina depends on what? Independent power producers. And to wake off a generator bar, no way so off a generator bar. In NPP era, you can count how many power producers and Omera Ghana have. NDC Suba, you can count how many power producers and Omera or many more. Now the reason is simple. And it's saying a kuku dam for one more share NPP mu, a kuku dam for and so share NDC mu. Now the Omoyane said they influence the power system, the power block. Na sa company see na den aba be hye omainim. Na fi omoba the Omoyane said we say me a power producer A, we say me a power producer B, all of them so mu generate power at the Ghana. But then folks, what I want you to observe and think about and say, it's been 32 years still counting in Ghana's what? Independence of 68 years. Under NPP, NDC, 32 years. Who said none of these parties can both say Ghana has what you call a sustainable power supply for this country. What it means that both of them have failed. I'm not talking about President Mahama's 120 days achievement. No, forget about that one. But I am tonight to tell Ghanaians, say, NPP, NDC, they have failed. They have failed on one account. Say, or maybe or maybe your inability to generate sustainable power for the nation and for industries and for local domestic affairs and consumption, and then as for count yourself, so you failed. You have failed. Yes, a complete failure. There is nothing, no ambiguity, no challenge. And I challenge NDC and NPP, come and tell me development. There can never be any development in this country. No development be any ho. The kind of Ghanaians. As long as 32 years, these two political parties ostensibly have driven the Ghana's democratic system, and their inability to have created a sustainable energy supply for this country. No, Ghana hasn't developed yet. No, because you cannot compare yourself to where Malaysia, because you not go to Malaysia 68 years in the life of Malaysia to go and sleep in darkness. It can never be said in Malaysia industries, factories are still struggling for what? Electricity. No, it will be a travesty and miscarriage of justice, to say the least. You not go to South Korea, you not go to Singapore. These are countries that gain the same independence with Ghana. Oh yes. And for me, I'm not even talking about Mahama's 120 days. Oh no. Aside of that, I am standing on energy production. Say, NPP and NDC, you have failed this country. Forget it. Now, my dear, the most sadness is the reason why they have not been able to provide a sustainable energy supply in here. Oko NDC mo ekuku damfo na ehiem no adwen say no. Mommy enkofa power producers nemra. NPP the same. Now when the power producers ne ba, much as womu provide electricity o womu provide no, Ghana minu mienu ye taxes ne atam ni say ne da den ne di tu omoka. Mo a ye tu omoka no, send this na what power. Those power blocks no mushishe masa energy providers ne ba no muso enyo profit. Bohu boni a umpenifo ni di tia o man no. Yeah. Boni omu di nie. Yeah. Enya hwe o. Enti the two parties cannot sit down. NPP and NDC cannot sit down and say Ghana is saying 35 million. Mummy interest in see one energy source. One energy power source. And for more, mean once and for all in our lives. This I was saying, Kobisa said, why can't they sit down and develop one blueprint for power supply? In terms of send this your power. And this your power, NPP for this thinking them. They are trying to print something on your mind. Say they have the blueprint to give what everlasting power supply. No, they are liars. We are true for. Sa NPP so power, NDC some. Any NDC for na better. So say when the NPP was in power, NDC for creating impression as they have all the magic formulas, and when they speak so nice and they speak so beautiful, but they are a bunch of crooks, thieves, and criminals. They don't have the sense. We need the brain. Simon, 32 years they've walked you and I down the aisle, and they don't have that blueprint and the solution to an energy crisis. But there's one young man, 35-year-old guy in Burkina Faso, has built 18 factories. Now when we say 18 factories now we see no. He first of all have to think of energy supply, sustainable energy power. How do they provide it? My factories in Yayedma, Nini Penny Mujmaye. I'm going to wait for the president statement now. Man say sustain me say as far as NPP and NDC we are concerned, I'm picking you people. And yet, but as long as two parties we Muntimin develop Ghana on grounds of our energy supply, there can never be development in this country. And says Subanwe, it's across everywhere. Yeah, everywhere. So politicians need mere Ghanaians, no, na ma sofo no so mere Ghana for. Yeah, your so-called men of God, almost so a majority of them, some are catching about 90 plus. A cromfon, you see, or mine drew baby, or be a new or mine would, Nasamudri or mine one. And this for NPP for some to be trusted. No, Mike, this way, more trusted be someone said, how do we sustain this country, empower this country on energy supply? I said to be trusted, no, yes, sir. But Muntimi, yes, sir. No. But more penny say, Moba, everybody want to cry and cry from their belly, their stomach, and they want Ghanaians to. I mean, you want us to sympathize you, NPP for, NDC for, you want Ghanaians to sympathize you, your inability to give us power supply, but then when it comes to unrealistic tariffs, there, no more push Ghana for say foolishness of the highest order. When you don't have the brains. A 35-year-old boy, so the same way the politicians behave, the same way in the religious circles, and also what they hear Ghana for. And today, I mean, cast on my way one. I saw for any politicians in a book in our sacred yard. Oh yeah, in the same spirit, one can observe carefully. Oftentimes, say, politicians in NPP and NDC, no, or my lifestyle, ne. Udi free one so anabra in the same spirit. Check your so-called men of God. They have also appointed their senior sons and daughters at the apex of the church in the decision-making body to ensure that they are what? They are covered. Covered, oh. This should tell you they are not running a church in the name of God, but they are what? They are running what? A business empire. Oftentimes, what do you see on their billboards? Tomorrow say, "Masofo so." Asofo ni bebre, especially one-man churches for no. Show so any behavior. They are not running asoria. Womu lead you. Me say on my way. The whole of Africa, Adia SA Africa, religion and politics. And I challenge anybody. Come. I'm telling you. Me say the whole of Africa, one of the very, very sickness that is militating against the consciousness of Africa. And yes, our sickness is not a sickness on the skin disease, it's a disease of the mind. And the two fundamental disease is politics and religion. MPP and look at how they've caused politics of divisiveness and serious political acrimony. Hey, just I can't tell me bro no mining much say bam. Now fi baby I'll be Arabian be prepared say you are going with colors and check. One the politics need to saw them one me say asofo ni sumu ache say bam meboa. But asofo ni muacha no asofo na nkasa nsusu bebre 90% now a year to 99% of masofo mugua eya kromfo they are criminals, especially the charismatic one-man church for no. Inti check say one-man churches for the day na uhu. Most and often times all the one-man churches ni narano. Wome putu womanum either his senior son or his senior daughter at the apex of the leadership of the church in order to be able to what? Give a complete account, measure of how the church is going. We are sorry. All of them. Women their son, why? Archbishop Nicholas Zanka Williams, neba nsha so them wo. Nibi sam Kwanchi Ankra, neba nsha so them wo. Otabel, mumisa say, why Reverend Otabel? How many of Reverend Otabel's ma and one so my ready in leadership position? Nibi sam. The new we are no akwa why. Jowo Paris Chapel, Ajenasari, Onunzwe. The new we are Lighthouse. Check all the leadership of these big charismatic churches. If their sons and daughters in a point in the apex of leadership, they are simply telling you they are not running church. The church is not a means of enhancing you going closer to God. No. They are a bunch of what? It's a criminal organization. Simple. Oh yes. Masa, expose bi bao. Asofo mugu Ghana there. Some of you Ghanaians should know. Juma mudiwa. As well as we are exposing politicians in this country. Our mama omei enkoyi. Very serious. Very, very serious. Don't. The piano, at the end of the day, the ordinary Ghanaian is at the crossroads. Ena mobo, yana utumi say, "Ow, erade nyankopon bone ben yaye." Politicians in my hontoye. Politicians, no, woman my ye ho enye den entoye. You may be praying no more ya. Me say as last time na me ka say me kire mo say e ka o main development in kwa as long as ye ka say NDC what power. NDC for bet me the 4 years we develop your mind with this. We are not talking about federal state. Oh, we are not talking about Ghana. How many times what? We are talking about one Ghana with 16 regional capitals. 16 regions. Your minister be our every region. Your municipal chief executive be our mensimu, and no deputies. Today, more saying. Yes, Ukwa Ashanti regional. Within the whole of Ashanti Township region, municipalities a wom, district a wom biara, your opinion wadano, any deputy, a pay. Na mo be di Ghana how many times? How many NPP ni NDC? Maybe some. Now so, ever since you create this district assembly's policy, yembisa say impuntu dwuma ben ene ba umensimu no beswa so. Bizame. We made it look as though some municipalities way one more then ever draw budgets call IGF they develop it. What about that? And as well there be women draw budgets from the central government. Ni nation still development be amba. Eranum assembly woman nyamare ho. Omanpeni edi nkomo bi. Na nkomo no me jinidi and me believe say yes, this is the roadmap. Or say na memwonum anybody be a beji sika 20,000 beyond be one. Now I love the way or spread it or two nets no at the far ministers no so when you hongwa notwithstanding only ministers so high ranking government officials obia and deputies. Now me who say nipa bi ye hwehwe omontin sem bia so omoti ase enye those of you amonti ase shut up untimi so get out of the government. You see hwe mamika bi ntire Ghanaians, we must make the governance system of this country so much unattractive say enkoba say sebim prediasan enipa hu bia nam ho a ono the office wo godfather bi NDC mu and our godfather bi NPP mu ono ane say obewremu a enene kire. No, because there are two sources of enrichment in this country. Either say, "Obe your crom for ni we be NDC one NPP mu." Now, when your baby ekura and one no, and also say, "Obe fa uhun." Then they say, "We ura asofudiem." Asofudiem mu de unye room a. Oh, come on. Often feature ha Beni ha Togo ha baby a. Onye edro bi ni bansiri bi de to na say no anu oba na oyedi da de acha. Ghana for the see Africans are our minds are fickle. We are so fickle, we are so weak, we are so destitute. Just say Obano be Jones say unscrupulous less than what? When we JHS simple, but obetumi be commanded thousands of Ghanaians. Momra, come and follow me. Because on any agent, Ghana for bedin a ade achi anu why ye say tam. The brain is our brain. It is the mind we serve the Lord, and the mind always I say is the battleground. So they are able to what control your mind from afar. Here, two places where you have in politics. But on my penina ya there that we have to commend John Dramani Mahama. I feel ye be monitor namuna mugu Jubilee House what. NPP NDC status konini ube Roman penny wa do mo ka che say bra na betua $10,000 answer ya we hu president no bra betua $20,000. People use the name of the president ediesi konko. Many of them 32 years they know themselves. But you see what do man penny kan ya eya hum kan say now the president employ all of us as Ghanaians as the checklist for the people. Oh yes. And anyway, we created a portal. So we Ghanaians as a checklist, you know. Yeah, as they say, you better check into me. We have to watch your ministers, high-ranking government, obiara, because yo contract be omwa. Utumi say any pay on sem fata. Now so enam say wono ye penny no otimi kɔ na wakɔ bribe minister no na contract na ye de ama no. Na se bi obi so ye adwuma qualify say de ma no we ko tua bribe na ye de ama no. We are to reduce money influence in our body politics. Now, my penny code of conduct. No. Yenti your mampeni said your mampeni esi kan asem. Na fi employ or employ ni ministers no to be on alert and stand still. Take a listen to President John Dramani Mahama.
The code of conduct yet. Don't have a heart attack when you receive your copy. Ministers of State, Deputy Ministers, members of the Council of State, presidential staffers, head of agencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. In my 120-day social contract with the people of Ghana, I pledged to restore discipline, integrity, and accountability into our governance. Today, we're taking an important step towards fulfilling that promise with the official launch of the Code of Conduct for Political Appointees. This code represents a bold declaration of the standards we must uphold as servants of the public. It reflects our commitment to build a government that is ethical, responsive, and worthy of the people's trust. Let me be clear. This document is not a ceremonial one. It is a living and enforceable framework that outlines what is expected of every individual appointed under this administration. Though the document often uses the term minister, it applies broadly to deputy ministers as well, to presidential staffers, to chief executive officers and their deputies, to members of the Council of State, to board members and other political appointees within the executive arm of government. And I include myself. It applies to my vice president, myself, the president, the chief of staff, the executive secretary, all advisors. All of us are bound by this code of conduct. This is a government of shared responsibility, and there will be no sacred cows. Why do we need a code of conduct? Because we must build a new political culture, one that is rooted in transparency, humility, and ethical leadership. Ghanaians deserve leaders who serve with honor and put the public interest ahead of their personal gain. This code is designed to guide our actions and decision making and to make clear the consequences that will happen when we fall short. Now let me highlight a few key principles and provisions of the code. All political appointees must serve the public with integrity and impartiality, must place the national interest above their personal interest, must avoid misuse of office or state resources, must declare and manage any potential conflict of interest, must eschew opulence, be accountable for every cedi or public money you spend, and be humble in service, measured in language, and respectful to citizens at all times. You are not in office to wield power. You are here to serve the people of Ghana. The second is conflict of interest. Any situation that creates a conflict between your personal interest and your official duties must be avoided or disclosed. This includes holding stakes in companies that deal with government or with your ministries, using insider knowledge for your personal benefits, awarding contracts to entities that are connected to yourself or your close family. If you're a dormant partner in any business engaging with the government, even outside your ministry, you must disclose it in writing to this office. Not through a telephone call, not through a relative. You must submit an official declaration. Failure to do so will result in disciplinary action. Number 3, interest of friends and family. Public perception matters. You must avoid making decisions that benefit your relatives or your close friends. You must not recommend them for contracts or appointments. If your actions give even the appearance of bias, you compromise the integrity of your office. Number 4, gifts and hampers. We all know our cultural fondness for gifts, but we must now draw a clear line between appreciation and influence. Appointees are prohibited from accepting gifts or favors, especially from companies or individuals with interest in governmental decisions.
Great, folks. Welcome back. This is the Frontline Show, Ghana Speaks Now. Currently, we're trying to go and then pick live feed of the president's 120 days activities here. Because now we just learned, say, yes, Nyoma Omampinino, Etu Hu Anamono. Currently, some are being displayed. There's a documentary, Womode Aiden Ashishaso, of course. President intimi mekasa keke say bia oh na me yesi there be them president would have to give Ghanaians a pictorial, all right, vivid evidence of say me yewe and no ne niama sabri no etwe gonti me dem obekọ the live feed no wa hwe nioma omampini eden akeka. Of course we are not more than a while ago no just gone past na president in a strict code of conduct or the man in pain for them pain to be brina and yaman kuyi momusa omun tiasie so enye yi namne ade. But the president and the person will make him tiasie say look oma the government na abeye more or less like unattractive to one more feel say Akufo-Addo can the same Samokaya Akufo-Addo can the same or say if you want to make business if you want to make money go to the private sector na ade na ekoye den ye tia ne say ni pegu Akufo-Addo abemu akuromfo fa thieves and criminals we o mensi kase poto kwa wentimi anyehwe. But with this I am quite I have that's to believe in John Mahama. Now same bi okan ye edi twa to okra na ema me scared o say mamen kan twi mo mo o say mo hwe na mo pushi me anko that angle. Emma now apply the full fledged of this conduct. And I know John Dramani Mahama. I know. Yebekaya, Mokai Victoria Hamad. Oh, you Victoria Hamad did straight up. Oh, just say John Mahama ni pebia. You can love the personified of this president, like it or leave it. Just say John Mahama and Fasemu in Shenimu. To say ni pebinim. No. He will not vent his spleen on you. On fast some in Shenimu, only ya we now so he has the way to crack his whip terribly. As if Sidia than and also know why DNA we did that. They know him. Zone. And I don't know, MCR, do we have the live feed and are we ready to go on the live feed? So that you bet me I share. Great. So, folks, Momi share the live feed of some of the things the pictorial view of 120 days contract with Ghanaians and what the president, John Dramani Mahama, has secured for the people of this country. Take a listen. Watch this and watch it carefully.
Personality is so unmatched, and so much is so admirable, and his love for kids and the youth is so much amazing. And I'm not so surprised my kids get so much unexpected anytime he shows up on the screen.
I admire his story, Judge, and here we are. That's a good leader.
Mahama's previous tenure as president distinguished him as the infrastructure king. His visionary leadership facilitated projects that have transformed our communities. Roads, schools, and healthcare facilities were built and improved. The energy sector received a big boost with excess megawatts of power, laying the groundwork for sustainable development. But the journey is far from Mahama has made a solemn promise to reset Ghana's opportunity, prosperity, and accountability. Through his promise of a 24-hour economy, he envisions a nation where jobs are abundant and where people thrive. Picture this: a Ghana where industry operates around the clock, entrepreneurship flourishes, and every citizen has the chance to contribute to and benefit from economic growth. Mahama's roadmap prioritizes creating jobs and ensuring that the nation's wealth is shared across all communities. A true embodiment of economic empowerment. Mahama recognizes that Ghana's strength lies in its people's strength. By fostering an environment of innovation and collaboration, he calls upon entrepreneurs and the youth lies in our diversity. Mahama is dedicated to building a government that upholds accountability and transparency and journey, confident that together we can build a Ghana that not only meets the needs of today, but inspires future generations. As we honor John Dramani Mahama and his new dawn of leadership, we look ahead with hearts full of hope, aligning with his vision for us all. Together, let us embrace this new chapter of leadership, transformation, and growth. Forging the path toward a prosperous Ghana for all. Congratulations to the fourth, and now the journey begins now.
My fellow citizens, good evening. Today, May 7th, 2025, marks 120 days since I had the profound honor of being sworn in as the President of the Republic of Ghana for a new 4-year term. It is a day that I specifically noted on our calendar to come before you, the people of Ghana, to account for the critical first steps we promised to take in our initial months in office. Our campaign was anchored on the bold yet pragmatic plan for national recovery and transformation. Central to this plan was a social contract for the first 120 days, a set of specific our unwavering commitment to change this, and we have kept them. And a relentless focus on laying the foundation for building the Ghana we want, a just, prosperous, and united Ghana. Let me now walk you through. We promise to form a lean and efficient government. I promise to nominate the complete list of cabinet ministers for parliamentary approval within the first 90 days. As promised, I announced the complete list of my cabinet ministers for parliamentary approval within the first 14 days of being sworn in. They were all successfully vetted and approved, and they have hit the ground running. First and deputy appointed by any president in the Fourth Republic. We've also nominated our metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives, and they are going through the various levels, establishing a robust code of conduct. I have committed to establishing a robust code of conduct and standards for all government officials to instill integrity and accountability from day one. Building the comprehensive state property The comprehensive document launched last Monday addresses new areas including a prohibition on purchasing state property directly or indirectly, regulations regarding hampers, and clear monetary limits for official gifts. I've left my appointees in no doubt that I'll bring down the hammer swiftly and strongly if they breach any of these provisions. We promise to hold a national economic dialogue within the first 90 days to understand the state of our economy and build consensus on the way forward. On March 3rd and 4th, 2025, the Government of Ghana convened the National Economic Dialogue at the Accra International Conference Center, bringing together partners including the private sector, civil society organizations, traditional authorities, and academia. The participants presented a comprehensive report with clear recommendations to restore macroeconomic stability and regain confidence in our economy. These included enhancing fiscal and monetary coordination, reviewing the foreign exchange regime, implementing major tax reforms, overhauling the public financial management system, reforming state-owned enterprises, strengthening expenditure controls, establishing a credible medium-term expenditure framework, promoting strict fiscal discipline on the part of government, and aggressively pursuing inclusive growth. The implementation of these recommendations has begun to yield results. The currency is becoming fairly stable, inflation is inching downwards, and we have reduced the excessive borrowing that had become the trademark of past governments. The report also provided valuable advice on promoting industrialized agriculture and aligning skills development with national priorities. We've taken this advice seriously, and implementation is underway, guiding our economic policy decisions. Following the recommendations of the National Economic Dialogue, we've amended the Public Financial Management Act 2016, Act 921, to introduce a debt rule that aims to reduce the ratio of debt to GDP to 45% by the year 2034. We've also established an operational rule to post an annual primary surplus of at least 1.5% of GDP on a commitment basis. The amendment also allows for the establishment of an independent fiscal council to monitor the government's adherence to the fiscal rules. program. What is also new about this law is the sanctions associated with breaches of the fiscal rules, which extend beyond just the Minister for Finance to include all ministers of state and heads of covered entities whose actions or inactions contribute to the fiscal slippages. Government has commissioned the Auditor General and 2 international audit firms to audit payables and commitments to validate their legitimacy and values and provide recommendation for corrective measures. An amendment of the Public Procurement Act has also been passed, making the issuance of a commitment certificate by the Minister for Finance a prerequisite for all procurements funded by the central government. Scrapping draconian taxes to alleviate hardship and ease the high cost of doing business. I promise to scrap the E-levy, the COVID levy, the 10% levy on bet winnings, and the emissions levy within my first 90 days in office. These tax expenditure measures were central to our 2025 budget statement. On April 2nd, 2025, I signed several bills into law, including the Electronic Transfer Levy, E-levy repeal bill, and the betting tax. We have delivered on 3 of these 4 specific tax repeals as promised. The COVID levy has intricate linkages to the existing IMF program. As a value-added tax, we have agreed with our multilateral partners to include it in our overall VAT rationalization exercise that is scheduled for September this year. We've significantly exceeded our 120-day promises regarding overall tax reform by enacting other critical bills such as the Value-Added Tax Amendment Bill, the Income Tax Amendment Bill, the removal of VAT on motor vehicles, the Public Financial Management Bill, the Growth and Sustainability Levy Act, the Earmarked Funds Capping and Realignment Bill, the Gold, reviewing taxes on industrial and agricultural imports. We committed to reviewing taxes and levies on vehicles and equipment imported for industrial and agricultural purposes within our first 90 days. My government has initiated the crucial review process. The results of this comprehensive review will guide policy decisions and be incorporated into the 2025 mid-year budget review and subsequently the 2026 budget, ensuring that we support these vital sectors effectively. Commencing the 24-hour economy policy. One of our signature policies for job creation and economic transformation is the 24-hour economy policy. We promise to commence drafting the needed legal amendments and prepare for its implementation within the first 120 days. The program is designed to drive structural transformation across our economy, built on pillars aimed at revamping key sectors such as agriculture, manufacturing, and tourism. The program rollout has commenced in earnest. The 24-hour Secretariat is collaborating with the Development Bank of Ghana and the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund to operationalize financing pillars for this program. Cabinet has approved amendments to the Ghana Investment Promotion Center Act and the Labour Act to include specific clauses regarding 24-hour operations. These amendments aim to enhance social protection, create an enabling environment for the 24-hour economy policy, and promote conducive business and labor relations. Already several businesses are lining up to sign on to this policy. Some tangible actions have also been taken. The Ghana Investment Promotion Center has launched 24-hour premium services to eliminate processing delays for investors. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has launched a 24-hour passport service with the passport application headquarters operating 24/7. The DVLA used a 24-hour service to clear a long-standing 18 months backlog of licenses and will soon commission a new 24-hour service office at Adenta in Accra. The Youth Employment Agency is set to launch the Graduates in Corporate Support (GRICS) program, which will attach graduates to firms operating 24 hours a day. This program is targeting 20,000 graduates. The YEA is also partnering with security agencies, the fire, police, immigration services, to provide security for 24-hour firms, and is working towards training and deploying 23,000 recruits for this purpose. Recognizing the need for robust security, the police service is establishing a 24-hour police unit to improve 9 patrols and utilize technology supported by nationwide sensitization. The Minister of Energy and Green Transition is engaging the PURC to set up smart metering with a time of use tariff, charging a lesser tariff during the off-peak hours, a direct incentive for enterprises on the 24-hour economy policy. The Minister of Finance and Presidential Advisor on the 24-hour economy policy is finalizing a list of incentives for businesses to sign up for the initiative. The Ghana Publishing Company Limited has also begun 24-hour printing operations. In fulfillment of the 120-day commitment, we're pursuing new avenues of job creation, expanding employment opportunities, particularly for young graduates, and empowering the private sector as a key driver of sustainable job creation. We promise to establish an accelerated Export Development Council to promote exports as a key strategy for economic transformation. I'm glad to report that on Monday, I inaugurated a 19-member Accelerated Export Development Advisory Committee, which I chair myself. This committee will monitor export activities and performance across all ministries, departments, and agencies, including the Ghana Export Promotion Authority. We will not accept any business-as-usual attitude. The committee's functions include reviewing performance reports, monitoring targets, refining trade policy, deliberating on international trade issues, and providing policy guidance for exports. Ghana's export sector faces challenges, including cumbersome documentation processes, requirements from under-resourced regulatory bodies, and inefficiencies at our ports. According to the International Trade Center, these inefficiencies cost Ghana $4.3 billion yearly in losses, export losses. Sectors such as fisheries face contamination issues, and vital segments including women and SMEs remain underrepresented in our export sector. Establishing the Accelerated Export Development Authority Committee is crucial as a central platform for coordinating reforms, driving execution, and unlocking Ghana's full export potential. Under this Accelerated Exports Advisory Committee, our bold strategy to grow non-traditional export earnings by several multiples over the current $3.5 billion exported annually by at least 2028. The Africa Continental Free Trade Area offers an unprecedented opportunity, and we're positioning Ghana as a regional manufacturing and export hub. This year, we aim to triple the number of companies certified under the African Continental Free Trade Area Rules of Origin. We intend to scale up our export readiness, training for youth and women, and expand into new markets while consolidating our existing partnerships. Ghana will become a hub for products, digital services, knowledge exports, and our creative industries. Convening a national consultative conference on education. I promise to convene a national consultative conference on education to build consensus on the necessary improvements to our education sector. I'm glad to report that this promise has been fulfilled. Over 2,000 proposals were received, including a survey on free senior high school with 20,000 respondents. The report on the consultations will be ready by the end of May 2025 and will be made public. The extensive consultation was crucial to building a genuine national consensus for sustainable reform in our education sector. The no academic fee policy for all first-year students in public tertiary institutions was a key promise to ease burden on families and expand access to higher education. My government has taken concrete steps to implement this. 452,940,012 Ghana cedis has been allocated for the payment of academic facility user fees for 156,294 first-year students in public tertiary institutions for the 2025 academic year. Get Fund has also been instructed to pay the fees directly to the tertiary institutions, ensuring timely disbursement. The No Fee Stress application portal has been developed and is now live for first-year students to register and authenticate their eligibility for this government funding. Introducing social interventions, free tertiary for persons with disability, and Mahama Cares program. We're committed to introducing vital social interventions like the free tertiary education for persons with disability and the Ghana Medical Trust, fund, otherwise called Mahama Cares. For free tertiary education for persons with disabilities, budget allocation for beneficiary students has been captured in the 2025 budget statement. The Minister for Education has made relevant data available for Get Fund so that it can prepare for the payments for this 2025-2026 academic year. The Ghana Medical Trust Fund is a bold national policy that provides direct financial support to Ghanaians who are suffering from chronic diseases that are not fully covered by our national health insurance scheme. It serves as a lifeline for chronic disease care. On April 29, 2025, I officially launched the fund at the University of Ghana Medical Center, where I pledged 6 months of my salary as my contribution to start. Vice President Nana Jane also pledged 4 months of her salary to the Mahama Cares Fund, and I have since directed that every government appointee of mine should contribute at least the equivalent of 1 month's salary to the fund. This includes CEOs and all other appointees. I encourage every Ghanaian to contribute as you are willing and able. The short code for the contributions across all mobile networks is *225#. *225#. Disbursement to support needy patients will begin once the governing board is put in place. The draft Ghana Medical Trust Fund bill is ready and will be presented to Cabinet at its next sitting for approval and forwarded to Parliament when it resumes from recess. We are united in this mission to touch lives and bring health, healing, and hope and joy to our people. To improve menstrual hygiene, management, and remove barriers to education, I promise to reintroduce the distribution of free sanitary pads to female students in primary and secondary schools. The 2025 budget statement allocated 292,400,000 Ghana cedis for this commitment, and I launched this initiative on the 24th of April 2025. Procurement is ongoing for over 6 million sanitary pads, with each student receiving 3 packets per term at the basic level and 4 packets per semester at the secondary level. Distribution will be done through the Ghana Education Service structure to all 261 districts, ensuring that no beneficiary is left out. The distribution will be accompanied by health education. A cornerstone of our commitment to good governance and accountability is tackling corruption and eliminating waste. I promise to initiate inquiries and forensic audits into several critical matters of public interest. This war against corruption continues unabated. The Minister for Health is reviewing the Auditor General's report on the COVID-19 expenditures. After the review, the appropriate actions will be taken. The Sputnik V scandal is under investigation. The Minister for Finance has launched an inquiry into the collapse of indigenous banks and financial institutions. And make no mistakes, facts will be unearthed, culprits will be punished, and lessons will be learned. The Minister for Energy and Green Transition has commenced investigations into the PDS scandal. Deloitte & Touche is conducting an independent audit of the National Cathedral project. I expect their report by the end of this month. A number of officials have been invited and questioned concerning the 13th African Games. On April 30th, 2025, the Attorney General filed 11 charges against the former National Signals Bureau Director General and others for various offenses. Charges will also be filed in the Accra SkyTrain and the National Service Ghost Name scandals. The Office of the Presidential Advisor on Corruption will continue to receive complaints and reports regarding graft for onward transmission to the Attorney General, building on the success of the oral mechanism, which received over 2,000 complaints in just a few weeks. As promised, my commitment to fighting corruption is not limited to recovering loot from past appointees. We will also ensure that our own appointees serve Ghanaians responsibly and are held to the highest standards of accountability. To reinforce public trust and ensure equitable access to state resources, I pledge to implement a government policy prohibiting political appointees from purchasing state assets. Reports of former officials acquiring public properties after regime changes have eroded public trust, particularly the alarming surge under the previous administration. In response, our policy prohibits all political appointees, their assigns, and closely associated persons from purchasing state assets. Section 5B of the Code of Conduct provides a clear sanction: immediate termination of appointment if an appointee is found to be in the process or has purchased any state asset directly or indirectly. Allocating seed money for the Women's Development Bank. We promise to allocate seed money to establish the Women's Development Bank to empower women entrepreneurs and promote economic inclusion. Accordingly, 51,300,000 Ghana cedis was allocated in the 2025 budget for this purpose. We're finalizing the working structures of the Women's Development Bank, and details will be made public soon. Priority job creation programs. Job creation is a top priority for my administration. We promise to launch the Ejumara National Apprenticeship and 1 million coders program in the first budget. These programs are designed to stimulate youth employment, entrepreneurship, and innovation. The Ejumara program has been launched to train and support 10,000 youth-owned businesses annually, and budgetary allocation has been made for that. 2,000 viable businesses will receive funding based on scalability and the potential to create jobs. This program targets Ghanaian-owned youth-led businesses across all educational backgrounds, with specific directives to allow access for women and persons with disability, unemployed, and out-of-school youth, and our vulnerable populations. Under the National Apprenticeship Program, the goal is to provide vocational training for more than 500,000 young Ghanaians over the next 5 years, beginning with an initial 10,000 apprentices. The beneficiaries will receive training in high-demand sectors. They will receive stipends and starter toolkits and certification at the end of their training. A dual apprenticeship model blending classroom instructions with hands-on training will be used. I've directed the prioritization of women. At least 45% of apprentices must be women, and persons with disability, at least 5% of trainees must be persons with disability and marginalized groups. The 1 million coders program is a cardinal initiative for a digitally inclusive, data-driven economy. 1 million young Ghanaians will be trained in digital skills for the business process outsourcing and KPO sectors. The pilot training began in the Greater Accra, Ashanti, Bono, and Upper East regions. The technology sector is a key pillar of Ghana's economic reset, and we're taking bold steps to equip our youth to be the future of work. Commence review of Customs Amendment Act 2020. To rescue the local automotive repair industry, we promise to begin the review of the Customs Amendment Act 2020 to remove the law banning the importation of salvage vehicles. The Minister for Trade and Agribusiness has extensively engaged relevant stakeholders, including new and second-hand car dealers and assemblers. Her report has been forwarded to the Ministry of Finance, where a draft bill is being prepared for Parliament. To ensure fairness and transparency and eliminate political patronage and corruption in awarding government scholarships, we promise to lay before Parliament a new bill to streamline administration and prohibit political appointees from accessing government scholarships. Cabinet has given policy approval for the new Scholarships Authority Bill to be laid before Parliament to fulfill this promise. I hope Parliament will consider and pass this bill expeditiously when it resumes sitting. This bill will establish the Ghana Scholarships Authority, a fair and transparent system focused on needy and deserving students and national development priority areas. Protecting our environment, especially from the threat of illegal mining, has been a strong commitment. We promise to ban illegal and new mining activities in forest reserves and roll out our Tree for Life and Blue Water initiatives to heal and sustainably harness our environment. In the first 120 days, we've taken decisive action through a 5-pronged strategy to overhaul and sanitize the mining sector. This includes regulatory reforms and strengthening the law enforcement, including joint task forces, arrests and seizures of mining equipment, stakeholder collaboration, reclamation of degraded lands. 7 out of 9 forest reserves have been reclaimed. Illegal miners have been flushed out of these forest reserves. Concerning the ban on mining in forest reserves, on March 20th, 2025, a legislative instrument, LI 2462, was presented to Parliament to amend the Environmental Protection Mining in Forest Reserves Regulation. This amendment removes the President's power to grant approval for mining in forest reserves. I plan also to amend the Minerals and Mining Act 2003, Act 703, to completely prohibit mining in forest reserves. This would effectively, meticulously, legally, and entirely ban mining in our forest reserves. The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has launched the Blue Water Initiative to restore our water bodies in collaboration with the Ministry of Environment. This initiative aims to train and deploy blue water guards to monitor and protect critical water bodies and prevent further pollution. At the same time, experts are working to clean up our polluted rivers. The Tree for Life Reforestation Initiative was also launched on March 21st, 2025 to restore degraded lands and combat climate change. This project aims to plant over 20 million seedlings annually nationwide, including through the One Child Per Tree policy to inculcate environmental consciousness in our youths. By combining enforcement, policy reform, technology, and community engagement, we're on track to reclaim our environment and ensure responsible mining for future generations, achieving the expected outcomes of reduced illegal mining, cleaner water bodies, restored forests, and stronger governance. To transform Ghana into the preferred tourism destination and showcase our rich heritage, we promise to launch the Black Star Experience Initiative as our flagship culture, arts, and tourism brand. I launched this initiative on May 1st, 2025. The Black Star Experience is not a one-day event, but a structured year-round program designed to showcase Ghana's excellence through monthly themes and events spanning heritage, music, fashion, gastronomy, innovation, and more. The approach is to create a seamless and immersive experience for local and international tourists, ensuring year-round engagement, boosting our economy, and celebrating the vibrant tapestry of Ghanaian culture. We promise to commence investigative processes into security agencies to purge state security agencies of militia and vigilante elements and enhance professionalism. A board of inquiry has been established by the Ghana Armed Forces to investigate recent recruitment processes, aiming to uncover discrepancies and implement corrective measures. Robust background checks are ongoing for all recruits and serving personnel, and mandatory ideological reorientation sessions are planned to reinforce military neutrality, national unity, and loyalty to the state and the Constitution. A biometric database is being introduced to cross-check personnel against national criminal and security intelligence records, automatically disqualifying applicants linked to political vigilante networks. This aims to decentralize and depoliticize recruitments. Similar processes are underway across other security agencies, including the police, fire, service, and prison services. Reopening investigations into major unresolved criminal cases, delivering justice is crucial for national healing and trust in our institutions. And so we promise to open investigations into major unresolved criminal cases, including the 2020 elections killings, Ayawaso West Wogombai election violence, and the murder of Ahmed Swale and Silas Wolochami. The new Inspector General of Police has established a special task force. Investigations have been reopened and progress is being made. In the tragic murder of Ahmed Hussein Swale 6 years later, the police service have made an arrest and the suspect was arraigned before court and remanded. Investigations are also ongoing into the election 2020 Tishiman South incident where 2 lives were lost. In Odododio, where 2 persons died, 3 individuals have been charged with conspiracy and murder and committed for trial at the High Court. In Ablikuma Central, where a military officer is alleged to have caused a death, the scene has been revisited and a request was made to the Chief of Army Staff for the release of the personnel involved to assist in investigations. For the tragic death of Silas Wolochami in Banda, the Attorney General's office under the previous administration had advised against prosecution due to lack of evidence. But I'm pleased to report that we have reopened the case based on actionable intelligence. In Doma West, where Kofi Robert died, 1 person has been charged and is standing trial, while the other suspect is at large and is being pursued. In Savlugu, where Zakaria Samira, a 16-year-old, died from a gunshot, efforts are still being made to find the assailant despite a lack of cooperation from witnesses. And concerning the January 31st, 2019 Ayawaso West Wogombai election violence, where 18 persons suffered injury from individuals later identified as national security operatives, we will not let that matter die without justice being served to the victims. ASP Azugo, who was deeply involved in the violence and atrocities on the day, is currently cooperating with the National Investigations Bureau to identify, arrest, and prosecute all those who were involved in the violence. With respect to cases from the 2024 election violence that resulted in tragic deaths in constituencies like Tolong, Damango, Autusenya East, Nkranza South, Offenso North, and Ahafua North Southwest, the cases are being investigated by the Special Task Force. These are senseless deaths that should never again happen in our nation. Elections are to choose leaders, not to murder our citizens. We are committed to ensuring accountability for political violence so that it will not happen again. The Attorney General is working on a report for Cabinet to recommend appropriate compensation for victims and families involved in these unlawful incidents. Ladies and gentlemen, we promise to initiate a probe into the VRA Akosombo Bond Dam spillage to address the man-made disaster caused by the VRA spillage and prevent future occurrences. We promise to initiate a probe and take steps to compensate the victims. So, this administration set up a committee chaired by Engineer Kek Kofi, a former VRA chief executive. The committee has recommended strategies to prevent future occurrences, including establishing what is called a controlled spill flood plan and implementing downstream engineering solutions for flood management. I've directed that the recommendations be implemented immediately. I further indicated that if they are not properly implemented and another destructive VRA flooding occurs like in 2023, the VRA CEO and deputies must resign or be sacked. Initiate immediate steps to compensate flood victims. The 2025 budget has made provisions for the compensation payments, and a team has been put together to coordinate the compensation exercise. I call on the chiefs and people of the affected areas to facilitate the smooth and peaceful execution of this compensation exercise. We promise to shake up and realign state-owned enterprises to enhance their profitability and their value. On March 13, 2025, I hosted a high-level meeting of CEOs under the State Interest and Governance Authority, SIGA, to underscore the critical importance of reforms. We are implementing an enhanced performance management system with clear targets, monitoring financial and operational performance, and promoting good governance in these institutions. A deep dive study is underway to uncover the root causes of challenges and provide insights for targeted strategies to foster innovation and adaptability. My vision is clear: to transform the SOEs into robust pillars of economic growth. This may involve shutting down some of them or merging some of them together. SIGA is facilitating discussions to revive the produce buying company, deliberating with the Ghana Stock Exchange about the potential listing of at least 10 of the SOEs on the stock exchange, and encouraging them to prioritize dividend payments as their primary objective this year. My fellow citizens, this has been a comprehensive account of our actions in the first 120 days of my administration. We laid out a social contract with you, the people of Ghana, with specific promises for this critical initial period. Tonight, I'm pleased to report to you that we have fulfilled these promises. From forming a lean government and establishing a robust code of conduct, to taking decisive action to scrap burdensome taxes, initiating inquiries into past wrongdoings, launching major job creation programs, tackling illegal mining, reviving our environment, promoting our tourism and export sector, streamlining scholarships, supporting vulnerable populations, and holding our security agencies accountable. The foundation for resetting Ghana and building the Ghana we want together is being laid with speed and determination. These actions are not merely check boxes on a list. They signify a fundamental shift in how government operates, with transparency, accountability, efficiency, and a profound sense of urgency for the well-being of every Ghanaian. Fellow citizens, I take my promises seriously, and my word is my bond. Although we've established a solid foundation in this first 120 days, considerable work remains on the journey to realize the Ghana we all want together. This journey requires the collective effort of all of us. And I'm profoundly grateful for the mandate you have given me and my government to lead this nation. Your trust is our most valued asset, and we'll continue to work tirelessly to deserve that trust. And so I call upon every Ghanaian in every city, town, and village, in every sector of our economy, across every political divide, to join hands with us. Let us continue to work hard together, united by one purpose and a shared vision, to overcome the challenges and build a brighter, more prosperous future for our beloved nation. I thank you for receiving me in your homes. I thank you for your attention this evening. May God bless you all, and may God bless our homeland, Ghana.
Right, and so that was it from the presidency.